Monday, April 20th, 2026. And of course, a lot's going on in the world. And we'll be talking about that here on Pod TV and World Edition and seeing what folks have to say about a number of these stories as they are taking place. Japan eases back tsunami warning after magnitude 7.7 quake. So definitely that is something going on in Japan. It has been downgraded as people describe low rumbling as earthquake hits. Train comes to a stop as earthquake hits Japan. So definitely that is something that is going on in the Asian part of the world. Kim Jong Un, with his daughter by his side, oversees a test of cluster bombs. So North Korea again tests cluster munitions in a launch observed by Kim and his daughter. North Korea fires ballistic missiles again, flexing muscle amid the Iran war. So definitely that's something going on also in Asia as well. And in Bulgaria, pro-Russian Roman Radev on course to win election. Roman Radev's party wins the Bulgarian election, a new foothold for Moscow in Europe after the Bulgarian election. So it looks like Bulgarian voters back new political coalition led by Radev. And Keir Starmer is to address Parliament on Peter Mandelson vetting. So definitely that's something going on. Is Starmer will tell Parliament he was kept in the dark on Mandelson vetting. UK Prime Minister Starmer faces a tough week as scandal over his Epstein-linked pick for U.S. ambassador refuses to die down. Starmer was advised Mandelson should be vetted before the appointment. And police investigate a series of arson attacks on Jewish sites in London. UK police investigating if attacks in London are the work of Iranian proxies. British counterterrorism police investigating attacks against Jewish sites. UK police arrest two in connection with the weekend arson attack on the synagogue. So, two arrested over the Kenton synagogue attack. And Hungary's Tesla party widens its parliamentary majority as final votes are counted. Magyar's parliamentary majority in Hungary increases after that final count. Viktor Orban built a propaganda machine. Hungary's new next leader must dismantle it. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And distress call captures tanker under fire. Iran shuts Hormuz, trapping thousands of sailors. Distress call captures tanker under fire as Iran shuts the Strait of Hormuz, and ships have been attacked in the Strait of Hormuz as Iran declares strict control of a vital shipping route. So both the U.S. and Iran are firing on commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Are both sides acting lawfully? Is what the publication, The Conversation, was asking, and all along those lines. So lots going on in the world in that sense. Israeli entrenches hold on South Lebanon, warns residents to stay out. Israeli military publishes map of South Lebanon territory under its control. Israel says it established a yellow line in Lebanon as it had in Gaza. 26 years later, IDF restores its South Lebanon security zone with key changes. And Hong Kong fire victims return to retrieve belongings. Grieving, traumatized survivors return to their homes 5 months after that deadly fire. Hong Kong fire victims scour the scorched homes for keepsakes. Like charcoal, Wang Fo Court residents sift through the ashes for their belongings. An accused trafficker, considered one of Europe's most wanted fugitives, has been arrested and everything like that. So he was arrested in Cancun a couple of days ago. And the Mexico arrest alleged drug trafficker, considered one of Europe's most wanted fugitives. So the Mexico arrested that suspected Hungarian drug trafficker amid their crime crackdown. And four candidates for UN Secretary General auditioned this week, prioritizing peace, what the UN should be asking of its next Secretary General. Save humanity, four figures battling out to lead the embattled UN, and all along those lines. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. And how the U.S. Israeli war on Iran has eclipsed the crisis in Sudan. Pakistan places 1.5 billion Sudan weapons sale on hold after Saudi objections. So definitely there's a lot going on in the Middle East. Also, Israeli soldiers seen striking Jesus statue in Lebanon, sparking condemnation. Israeli army is investigating soldiers seen striking the Jesus statue in Lebanon, and it looks like that's something that folks will be talking about as well. And When We See You Again by Rachel Goldberg Poland is something that folks are talking about in terms of book reviews. Her son Hirsch was abducted October 7th and murdered by Hamas. She's saying that grief is a badge of love. Between pain and faith, Rachel Goldberg Poland says goodbye to Hirsch. I feel like we failed to bring Gaza hostages home, is what she told 60 Minutes on a recent edition. And the Pope Leo the 14th is in Angola. His visit to an African church linked to slavery is something that people are talking about as well. And is in Angola, love for an American Pope, but not for an American president. Pope Leo decries exploitation by world authoritarians during the Angolan troop. And the Pope at Mass in Suriname, the risen one illumines our past and sanctifies us, is what is being said. And a mind despoiled the beauty of the rainforest. This Goldman Prize winner took action, so Nigerian wins a global prize for community bat conservation in a country that shuns them. From a Surrey oil to the Supreme Court, how an activist changed the UK climate law. So definitely there's a lot going in that space as well. And Kuwait has declared a force majeure on oil shipments on Hormuz halt. So Strait of Hormuz traffic is at a standstill right now, and the global energy crisis escalates as the Hormuz standoff halts tankers. So that's something going on in that space and along those lines. So lots going on in the world. I saw that Nick was with me. Hopefully he'll be joining in conversation and seeing what he's got going on in Spain and all along those lines. And we'll see if others join us. I know Rick is traveling, so he might not be here that much this week at all and everything like that. And Sasha will probably pop in later, as will Jatovi. But the Tehran is sending mixed signals on talks after U.S. seizes ship. So U.S. seizes Iranian flagship. And definitely a lot of folks are talking about that as well. And oil prices jump after the U.S. seized that ship, imperiling the ceasefire. And a Shreveport mass shooting leaves 8 children dead. Authorities identify 8 young children shot and killed by a Louisiana father. 8 children killed in mass shooting in Shreveport, Louisiana, and all along those lines. And like I said, the Pope's English fuels a Trump feud. So the Pope and the current president are in a feud, and all along those lines, even Catholic Trump supporters are feeling conflicted over the president's tiff with the Pope. From pulpits to pews, Trump and the Pope are on the mindsets of Catholics. And Congress extends FISA surveillance powers until April 30th. Republicans stare down a growing, never-ending FISA crisis. It looks like they've got 10 more days to reform Section 702, and we'll see if that happens or doesn't happen. And Epstein survivors say it's not too late to expose what happened at his New Mexico home. So cadaver dogs, I should say, cadaver dogs and drones. Record shows scope of search at the Zorro Ranch and plans confirmed for Epstein's ranch. Zorro Ranch owners so far say they haven't found anything, but we'll see if that stays the case or not. And 6 crews still missing after an overturned ship that disappeared after typhoon is found near Saipan. And Mark Carney says Canada's ties to the U.S. have become a weakness. Carney says Canada's strong economic ties to the U.S. are a weakness to be corrected. And the Canadian Prime Minister says close economic ties with the U.S. have definitely become a weakness, and taking back control, he's addressing a pivot away from the U.S. in his message to Canadians. And a wife of an active duty U.S. Army sergeant detained by ICE in Texas at immigration. So there's definitely some things going on in that space. His active duty Army sergeant confused by ICE detention of his immigrant wife. So definitely lots going on in the ICE conversation as well. And Trump administration to begin refunding $160 billion in tariffs. So Trump tariff refund portal opens for businesses. Maybe Nick and the Pod TV folks will get one of those as well. We'll see if that's the case or not. Virginia voters to decide on redistricting ballot measure on Tuesday. And I know those ads have been appearing a lot, even in the Durham market. But voters say they feel confused and misled on the Virginia redistricting vote. Big names wait in the wings as Virginians decide their House map. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. And apparently Epstein craved Harvard connections. Many there were eager to help. And our brand is yet to confirm their participation in new talks with the U.S. Middle East crisis, ceasefire under pressure as Iran says it has no plans for talks after the U.S. seizes the ships, and all along those lines. And hundreds are trying to storm Wisconsin Beagle Research Facility are met with rubber bullets and pepper spray. Animal rights activists break into the Ridgeland Farms, and activists tear gassed at failed raid of Beagle Research Facility. So definitely that's something going on in the world as well. And a Los Angeles woman was arrested on suspicion of helping Iran traffic weapons to Sudan. So a Woodland Hills woman was nabbed at LAX on Iranian arms trafficking charges, and a high-flying Iranian woman is charged with moving arms worth millions for Tehran. And Trump's Department of Justice demands Wayne County 2024 ballots. DOJ demands Detroit area 2024 ballots escalating election scrutiny. So the Michigan Attorney General has rejected Trump administration ballot requests and broader push to challenge the elections. And two U.S. and two Mexican officials die in a Chihuahua car crash. U.S. and Mexican officials assigned to cartel cases were killed in that car accident. So definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. And three University of Iowa students were injured in a downtown shooting. The investigation is ongoing. Mom recounts a moment during weekend shooting at Iowa Ped Mall, or Iowa City Ped Mall, and officials say 5 injured, including 3 University of Iowa students in a shooting at the Penn Mall near the university. So that's another sad case of one of these public shootings. Trump's UN ambassador Mike Waltz says bombing every bridge and power plant uh, is something that might be considered, and all along those lines. So, is bombing power plants and oil facilities a war crime? Is what the Economist is acting. So, the extreme positions Trump proposes and the Republicans embrace. So, definitely, Walt says Trump's threat against Iranian civilian infrastructure is perfectly acceptable. And the FBI director says arrest coming soon in 2020 rigged election conspiracy. Under pressure, Cash Patel claims FBI has evidence the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. Stay tuned this week. Cash Patel just announced live on Fox News. Arrests are coming, and I promise you it's coming soon. So we'll see who all gets arrested, as they're saying that he should have been in the elections in 2020 as well. But hey, that's just some of the craziness going on in the world and all along those lines. I see Jacoby's with me and everything like that. I think Nick's here as well, but we'll see if he's bold enough to jump on camera and see what he's got on his mind as well. But yeah, lots going on in the world. There's all these conflicts going on. It just seems like the world has got stuff happening left and right, with severe storms reload across central U.S. with renewed threats of large hail and tornadoes late this week. I think we're going to be missing that here in the southeast, Jacoby. At least that's what I'm hoping. And Trump has sent J.D. Vance to Pakistan again for more talks with Iran. So the talks we had a ceasefire. Now we don't have a ceasefire. J.D. Vance, U.S. delegation to land in Islamabad within hours. As Trump tells the Post, nobody's playing games. Trump says he'll send negotiators to Pakistan and Iran, and suspects that there'll be a trap in the waiting for him and everything like that. So, Jacoby, are we going to get any true ceasefire? Or is it just going to keep going on and on? Oh, Jacoby left me. So we'll see if he comes back and everything like that. But yeah, he had to bounce and everything like that. But he did say he would be right back, and hopefully he'll come back. Hey, Nick, what's going on in your world? I know you're over there in Spain, and I need to find out what's happening in Spain and all along those lines. That was 15 minutes of news. But what's happening in your world, Nick?
Latest is the president of Mexico is visiting our wonderful country here in Spain, and there was a rift between Mexico and Spain. I didn't know if you know this, Mark. It's
I
big
think
over
it was
here.
called the War of 1812.
Well, basically, it was basically one of the prime ministers of or presidents of Mexico wanted an apology from Spain for being their overlord for 300 years.
Being a
Okay, in
colonial
other words,
power.
coming in and taking over Mexico and running Mexico, or whatever they were doing over there, for 300 years. And the PM from Mexico said, "No, we're not going to apologize for that." Um, in certain respects, they probably did some things that they shouldn't have. In certain respects, it was 300 years ago. I mean, what does it have to do with today? I mean, it was maybe 100 years ago. I don't even know. Okay, but nevertheless, it has created, believe it or not, friction between Spain and Mexico. I mean, I didn't know this till I moved over here. So what's happening is the Mexican president is finally going to visit Spain and try to soothe over the sore feelings from Mexico to Spain from not getting an apology for something that happened hundreds of years ago. Now, does the rest of the world care? No, they don't.
No, the rest of the
It's
world
a
doesn't.
Mexican and Spain thing.
But I tell you what, the rest of the world does care about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it because I think I sent you some clips, and maybe on one of these shows I'll be bold and play some of them. But both sides in the Iran war, the Iran and the U.S. are saying they're winning the war. Both can't be right. But if you watch the commercials, I don't know if you've been watching these Lego commercials that are AI generated. They are totally lambasting Trump and everything like that. I
Yeah.
think they did one called Fake Jesus. They did a number of other ones that are quite hilarious and are very much in that political landscape of political satire. And if nothing else, they're winning the war of a lot of people in terms of
Okay.
propaganda war. So, what is your take?
All
If
right.
you watch any of these videos, some of these videos are actually quite funny.
Okay. First of all, you never win a war. Okay. I mean, so when they're making claims, I'm winning a war, no, you don't. You've lost a war. The minute you get in a war, you've lost. The only question is how much did you lose? Did you lose more than the other person lost? In other words, like I said, I got all these books on battles. Oh, I won the battle. Well, how many people died? Well, they had 60,000. They had 100,000. That's considered a victory because you only had 60,000 people die. You lost. I mean, but you just lost less than your opponent did. So these people who are claiming they're winning a war are wrong because you can't. You always lose. It's just like Ukraine-Russian conflict. You know who lost? Russia and Ukraine. The only question is who's going to lose the most. That's it. And even in World War II, America won. No, America lost. We just didn't lose as much as Germany and Japan did. That's all. Now, how do you win? You win by making progress. In other words, by building things, and generally under peaceful times. That's when people win. In other words, they build infrastructure, they build assets, they build people's ability to do better. But that's all under peacetime. But in wars, you always lose. The only question is who's losing more. That's all. And so Iran's saying we're losing less than America. Great.
Well, speaking of losing wars and everything like that, I know there's been a fight that's even talking about doing a moratorium on data centers, even here in Durham, North Carolina, and around the Triangle. I think that Wake
Mhm.
County may have already fought against some of them in some of their towns. And I know Durham was having a discussion. I think that was on Saturday that I did not attend, but I had some friends that attend. So I'm curious to see what they found out and everything like that. But apparently, you can make a lot of money, and I didn't know this as a data center electrician. So maybe I went to the wrong
Yeah.
job because the Business Insider said a talent CEO reveals that data center electricians can make as much as $300,000. So that's not a bad little
Yeah.
salary and everything like that. So, but I know data centers get a bad rep because of how much they can take in terms of energy, and that's why a lot of people are fighting against it from here.
Well, and like in Washington State, they build the data centers around rivers and places where they have hydroelectricity.
Right.
The Grand Coulee Dam was one of the biggest hydroelectricity projects during the Depression. I mean, and they have quite a few places like that. So in Wenatchee, that's where Microsoft builds their data centers because they can get cheap electricity because it's surrounded by rivers and hydroelectricity because it does absorb a lot of energy. Let's put it that way. That's one of the problems with data centers. But we're going to be discussing AI later on with David Walker in the upcoming program because what's happening, it looks like it may happen in June, 3 companies going public, and they have huge market caps. One of them is everybody's familiar with, is SpaceX. Plans on going public with a market cap of 1.75 trillion to 2 trillion. And then you have OpenAI, which has about a 1 trillion, and anthropogenic or whatever they call it. Anyway, it has another $1 trillion market cap. So the real question is, with 3 trillion or more in new valuations coming out, is AI going to be able to save the United States of America for its looming debt, which is $39 trillion? So it's going to impose that to David Walker and see
Yeah,
see
it'll
if
be interesting to
because
see what
Rick
David
Rosser
Walker
said
says
that he's
about
going
that
to.
and everything like that.
What?
But just really quickly on that same line, I sometimes forget about companies, even though they're very popular and everything like that. And I was wondering, in the world of stock, you probably have some stock in it because they're very much a big pharmaceutical company. And I'm not talking about GSK, even though they're big as well. But Eli Lilly apparently is nearing a $2 billion deal for Colonia Therapeutics, which will be a deal for
Yeah.
cancer biotech and everything. So they're in advanced talks to acquire Kelowna Therapeutics for over $2 billion, and that will expand their cancer pipeline because they did a lot of work in cancer research and other research as well. Because apparently this company advanced in the vivo CAR T cell therapies and everything like that. But I just wondered, did you ever invest in Eli Lilly? Because it seems like they'd be a good company to invest in if they got all these mini products and everything like that. Was that ever something that you were looking at it? Did you try to stay away from medical stocks?
Well, I went to Pfizer, but given what you told me, I may purchase some Eli Lilly stock. I think that biotech is going to be a big. There's going to be big movements positively in biotech, in spite of the anti-vaxxers jumping up and down, saying basically we don't know anything about science, but we have opinions for what it's worth. And I'm arguing on LinkedIn right now because there's so much misinformation in biotechnology today, especially by the McCullough Foundation and Malone. There's two of these doctors who run around just creating stuff, and I keep figuring what's their incentive of just creating havoc, and it's mainly to get donations. In other words, to their foundations and stuff like that. Because other than that, it just what you're singing it makes no sense because it's not medically sound. So I'm trying to direct these lost sheep to places which are good research institutes, which they have in the United States. One is called the Mayo Clinic out of Rochester, New York. Rochester, Minnesota.
Yes.
Okay. And they also have one in Jacksonville, Florida, and they have one in Arizona. And the Mayo Clinics have a lot of good research and good medicine. And the other is Johns Hopkins out of Maryland, not the McCullough Foundation. I know people on LinkedIn are listening to this. McCullough Foundation is nothing, and certainly not a Dr. Malone. Who the heck is he? But what we're finding, Mark, is social media has their own gods out there and their own followers and their own what I call minions who worship these people that have really borderline academic credentials at best, some totally, discredited. And then they ignore some of the best research out there, which comes from centers like the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, where they have MD, PhDs who graduated first in their class all the time. These people are unbelievably smart, as opposed to some hack out there who throws up, oh, vaccinations don't work. Oh, this study shows this. Oh, and it's creating havoc. And they're called social media influencers. All right. In chess, it's the same way. You have your social media influencers. I like to watch them. They're entertaining. Are they the best chess players? Absolutely not. Not even close. They're the most entertaining, but they're not the best. And so in medicine, it's the same way. These people are entertaining, but are they the best? No, please don't follow them. Other professions don't allow this chaos to take place. For some reason, medicine does.
Yeah, but I think another interesting profession that's been going around for a while, and that's the airline industry, and they've been having their issues, whether it's TSA or even potential mergers, because I did not realize that two major airlines were trying to merge, but apparently American Airlines stock fell 30% after the company dismissed the talk of United mega merger, and I'm just trying to think of they were big rivals of United.
Well, the real question is whether
major airline.
I saw the American United. I'm not sure if that's going to go through because remember they didn't allow Spirit.
Right now they're saying that they've dismissed talks. It looks like it's not going to go through.
Yeah, because remember they didn't allow Spirit to go through, and Spirit went under because they were really desperate for a merger. So I doubt American United would be obviously the biggest airline in the world if they allowed such merger to go through. Now, will it be anti-competitive? I mean, that's kind of the arguments of antitrust. I'm not really sure because there are so many startup small airlines that are out there that grab market share. So would they be a big airline? Yes, but do they really, would they be a dominant? I'm not really sure under the current conditions because you have so many of these small economic airlines that are out there that literally force the majors, if they have routes, to compete. And when they force them to compete, they drive the prices down. So I'm not concerned. What I was concerned about in airlines was the Strait of Hormuz being cut off and jet fuel running out. Now that would be a problem in
Well,
the
that would be a big issue.
industry.
But the other big issue is, and I'd love to hear Jacoby's thoughts about this because I know he travels around the triangle and everything like that, is that the U.S. Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, is saying that gas may stay above $3 per gallon well into 2027. So we might be looking at high gas prices all the way through 2027 and everything like that because he's saying that Trump is saying that his energy secretary is totally wrong on gas prices not dropping until $3 until next year. But a lot of people are seeing prices like 429 for regular and 469 and 589 for diesel in some places and everything like that. So, well, as you're traveling around the state of North Carolina, particularly the Triangle, what are you seeing, Jacoby, and everything like that in terms of gas prices and all along those lines? So he's on the call, so he probably can't answer me right now.
Oh, well, the thing is, I just think that those would be normal gas prices given a certain amount of inflation that took place. It probably should be $4 a gallon or maybe even $5 a gallon by now. And again, it goes back to looking for alternate energy sources. In other words, not relying on fossil fuels as much as we have in the past. In other words, relying on solar technology, solar farms, wind farms, and things that are renewables as opposed to fossil fuels, which really it's cheap. But the thing is, it's not something that you really
No, it's
rely
not
on.
cheap and everything like
And,
that.
and the other thing is, Mark, when are you guys going to have mass transportation or decent
Well, we
rail?
need mass transportation. I was actually on some
I mean, give me
transportation
a
yesterday
break.
and everything like that. I hate that the buses stopped running at midnight, but I would love it if they were running 24/7. And they talked about that, and they talked about the rail and a number of other things as well. So I hope we get that, and I'd love to be able to possibly jump on something and go down to Charlotte to visit my cousins and other folks that are in that area, or even
Yeah.
friends that are in Greensboro, which is not easy to get to. But we've also got to get the rail into some of the country towns and everything like that because there are a number of places even here in Durham that I would or the in the arts and history that I would love to visit, but they're not convenient. Like Haw River is in Saxapaw, and Saxapaw is not
Right.
easy to get to, and everything like that. So I would have to catch up with a friend, which I haven't had the pleasure of doing yet. But I do have some friends that we've talked about that. But it would not be easy for me to get to Saxapaw. It wouldn't be easy for me to get to Shikori Hills, and we don't even want to talk about like Yanceyville and some of the other places that have some cultural venues that would be fun to get to, but some of them are in rural parts of North Carolina that don't have hardly any mass transit and everything like that. And
Yeah.
so definitely they've got to
Well,
do a better
I
job of.
mean, having a high speed and a low speed, you probably need a high speed and a low speed rail. Low speed are basically regular rail connecting, Raleigh and Charlotte. I mean,
Right.
it would just make sense. When I say low speed, you may need one that has stops because there's a lot of
Right.
cities between Raleigh and Charlotte.
Hmm.
You could have a nonstop, but you could also have ones that make stops, or you could have just a selected stops, but have a high speed rail. I
Yeah.
mean, in the United States, they just don't have any plans at all to
No,
develop
no
rail. Well, I
plans.
can't say any
Unfortunately, a
because in
lot of it
Florida,
is
they have a plan.
centered on
I don't know
the
if they're
job
executing
market
it.
and everything like that. So a lot of them are you like I could easily get to carry for like if I was going to a mall or a meeting by train or by even TTA bus and stuff like that. But say I wanted to go to an event and events run later in night and everything like that, that's where it becomes more problematic. So I would be a bigger fan of the nations having transportation that was a little bit more convenient, even if it was stuff that was a late night, because that would be kind of the issue with Saxapaw, because Saxapaw had some great concerts at Howell River and other places. But I
Yeah.
mean, those concerts wouldn't be over till 11, so getting back would be next to impossible. I mean, things like Uber and Lyft help, but those are not as cheap as what mass transit should be. I did have a question for you because it became an issue we talked about on Pod TV for a while when it was first the pandemic was going on and all along those lines. But there are a lot of places and a lot of businesses. I don't know how you treated it with, and this is actually in your field of expertise and everything. I don't know how you treated it when you were working in this field, but a lot of companies were very big on PTO, parental leave, and pensions and everything, things like that. But apparently, even companies like Deloitte are cutting down those benefits for workers because a lot of people are shifting to AI work or to work that's not in the office. So there's not a need to have a daycare like I think Red Hat and not Red Hat, SAS and others had as well, and everything like that. So I just wondering, are we going to see less of the human connection at the workplace and less of the things that humans were very much proud to have, like daycares and exercise rooms and even lecture halls and stuff like that? And it looks like they're cutting down on parental leave and pensions and PTO because hey, AI is taking over. So what's your take on this? And if you tell me what.
Yeah. There's no question people don't want to go to the office anymore, Mark. And like our office in Salt Lake, my business partner Max has a hard time getting people to go into the office. They want to work remotely. And even when we're hiring people, it's almost like, yeah, I'll go to work for you as long as I don't have to come to the office. In other words, is there a trend there? Absolutely. Are there big office vacancies in major cities? No question. Are they keeping quiet about it? Yes, they're keeping quiet about it because it's embarrassing. In other words, the only way we get people back in the office is we need unemployment to go up. So I know there's a lot of people say, "Oh, unemployment low is good." Well, yeah, if you're a employee, but if you're an employer, it's not good. You want to have high unemployment because then you get more selection in terms of what employees you have. So it's not good for everybody. And then you could say, well, you have to come to the office. That's a condition of your job. And then they would come to the office or they wouldn't get a job. But that's not how it's working today. How it's working today is that the employees are basically in the driver's seat. They just don't know it. So it's kind of humorous. And now I'm talking about an employee that has skills.
Yeah,
They're more or less in the driver's seat today. And the
that makes a
employers
lot
are
of sense
not.
like that. A lot of people don't know about these wonderful prizes that offer great money. I know you're sometimes a big fan of colleges and nonprofits, but not always and everything like that. But apparently there's something called the Breakthrough Prize that some people are saying is the Oscar of Science, and they awarded $3 million for scientific discovery. So the Oscar of Science awarded to team behind gene therapy that restores lost vision. So the $3 million prize goes to a duo whose research led to the first sickle cell CRISPR therapy as well. And then it said Penn Medicine Children's Hospital of Philadelphia team was awarded this breakthrough prize for developing gene therapy for inherited blindness and everything like that. So it looks like this is a major science breakthroughs that get some nice little money and everything like that. But you don't hear about that the way you hear the Oscars and the Grammys and everything
No,
along those
no,
lines.
it's because remember we're anti-intellectualism. I would like to know more about this, Mark, because the media does not like smart people, okay,
Right.
and smart things like what you just described, which is something that I'm very interested in. So maybe you can put up on the boards these prizes because that moves America ahead, not the Oscars. The Oscars is just a waste. I mean, it's a party for rich over pampered celebrities. Okay, what you're describing is something actually that help people. In other words, where they're able to see where they're blind. That's pretty
Right.
cool, And having scientific breakthroughs, which I think these are done by really nerdy people, but they're really smart and they're really dedicated, and they should have at least some recognition because
It
even the
just
person
should.
who invented
And
the World
apparently,
Wide Web
and
didn't
they've
get
got some
any love. Hmm?
great stories. Apparently, it's a married couple, Jean Bennett and Albert McGuire, and they developed Lucturna, which helped a patient see their child's face for the first time and everything like that. So they developed this
Really?
product that
See if you
helps
can
this
see if
person
you can
see
get them
their
on the
child's
network.
face for the first time. And
Yeah,
I'll see if we can
Mark,
do
see if
that.
you can
They
get them
are
on the network.
molecular biologists and an ophthalmologist, so we'll see what they can do. And this was a not a short project. It says that they won this prize for life sciences with physician Catherine High for a 25-year-long project during which the couple adopted a pair of dogs they had treated for blindness. So this is not a short project that they did, but they did it over a period of time and all along those lines. So it looks like they had to go
What's the
out
name
and
of the
get.
awards
It's
that you
called the
said?
Breakthrough Prizes.
Breakthrough prizes?
the Breakthrough Prizes. They were handed out Saturday at a glitzy ceremony in Los Angeles. Further life-size prizes celebrated a gene therapy for sickle cell anemia and beta thalassemia, and the discovery of genetic drivers of frontotemporal dementia and ALS, the form of motor neuron disease that affected the cosmetologist Stephen Hawkins and everything like that. So
Really?
they're doing some great research and apparently taking place.
Mark, see if we can get some of these people on our network. I mean,
I
that's
will see. I
perfect
will
for
reach out
Pod
to them.
TV. I
We'll
don't
see
know
what
if you
they
know,
can do.
it looks like our network was approved to be a how you say, we can film the Kentucky Derby. So
I heard that we
we'll
can
see
film the Kentucky
we'll
Derby,
see
and I
if
heard
that goes
that.
through. But remember, the Kentucky Derby is very competitive. They have all the big people there, and we're just one of the small people that can report from the Kentucky Derby. But see, the breakthrough prizes, I've never heard of it. This becomes a non-competitive niche market that we should get involved in with Pod TV. I mean, it's perfect for our network because
It is. By the way, there is a lot of going on. Apparently, there's insider trading suspicions looming over Trump's presidency, and maybe Toby, once he gets off his call, might want to jump on this. But I don't know if you got thoughts around it as well, because they bet a lot of money off of cryptocurrency and everything. So regulators are reportedly zeroing in on suspicious trades ahead of market moving the Trump post. So traders have placed $760 million bet on fallen oil ahead of the Hormuz announcement, and the U.S. is probing suspicious oil trades made before Trump's pivot. So how much are we having folks being impacted by all of this stuff?
Well, this is kind of a big problem. The Department of Justice is supposed to be independent,
It
but
is.
are they? You see what I mean? That's the problem. In other words, if the head attorney general is appointed by the president and he can dictate who works at the AG's office, how independent is our DOJ? That's an absolutely good question. So when you don't have an independent Justice Department, you got a problem. Okay, I mean, it's just the way it is, because then they have a conflict of interest as to whether or not they should investigate their boss. I mean, think about it, Mark. It becomes a real problem. So maybe there needs to be some overhaul of the DOJ to make it a true independent
true independent organization. Speaking of independence, I know that one of the people you keep regularly in touch with is those fine folks in China. Apparently, China lending benchmarks in April, so China keep their benchmark lending rates unchanged as their economic growth is revving up. So it looks like they are definitely leading the charge as their PBOC holds rate steady for 11th month as Q1 growth hits the top of the target range. So it looks like they are making a lot of money over there in China, even though it's a communist country and everything like that. And they are leading the Asian side of the country, but actually they also do a lot of work like with the Belt and Road initiatives and others throughout the world. So it looks like they might be the world leader and not necessarily the U.S. is the world leader. So what is the folks in China saying when you go on your Chinese Facebooks about America and what we're doing with all of our American stuff? Because I know that you talk to these people regularly on Facebook and other places as well.
They're superior to America in all due respects. You can look at their robots and see that. But I did hear that looks like we're going to be filming at the Kentucky Derby. I don't know if Kim's frozen or not, or she could give us an update about this. This seems pretty exciting that we got approved maybe for filming at the Kentucky
Our
Derby.
network's been approved, or it was so last minute. They're rushing our credentials, so we hope to hear something today. But they've really been kind of fun to work with, very detailed oriented. The book is a lot to read about, the do's and don'ts.
Right.
Very, very strict dress code, even for media, which is not unheard of. I go to Sierra Week and, it's business suits, but we're in a horse and equestrian environment and they don't want jeans, but they did say don't wear stiletto heels, wear wedgies, but they want you in dress clothes. And they want you more in that fun dress clothes, slightly elegant. But it's not just for the Saturday 2-minute run.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's 2 minutes. That's it.
right, it's 2 minutes. Secretariat still owns the fastest horse ever at 1 minute and 59 seconds. Um, so, but it starts this Saturday. Actually,
Okay.
they've been doing some things this week, but it officially starts this Saturday. And then Sunday they have a race, and then every day they have something. And so they want you there every day. I don't know if I'm going to make it for the Sunday, this Sunday, but I'll
Mhm.
definitely be there Monday through the race. So,
Because the big
And
race
the
is
race is Saturday, so
the
you're going
big
to be
race is
Monday
the
through
first
Saturday.
weekend in
mhm.
May,
Not this
right?
Saturday, May 2nd. What?
May 2nd.
Okay.
That's what I thought it was next Saturday, May 2nd.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's not this. So this Saturday kicks off, smaller races, just building up the event, parties, lots and lots of fundraisers. Just this whole week is not this week, but starting Saturday is just full of everything building up to the 2 minute race. And it is, they call it the 2 minute sport, the most
Yeah.
elite, exciting 2 minute sport. So yeah, it's
Yeah. So what are you going to be able to do that all the majors can't do, like ABC, CBS, or NBC, or whoever shows up?
so we're
What
to
can we do? What's the
qualify,
rules?
we had to be a network that wouldn't compete. Okay.
Mhm.
They
We
like the
definitely
fact,
can't compete with them, so I'm good with that. So go ahead.
right? And we can't compete with sponsorships with them, and I don't think
Sure.
that's a problem.
Oh, there's
Uh,
probably.
Right. The more business like interviews, like on
Interviews.
financial investments, is
Right.
this an investment? Those kind of conversations as opposed to the race itself, which I love horses and everything, but I'm really not at a educated level or experience level to discuss those things. But they do that. And in fact, we're told that. But we are a different. Nick, you and I have done A-list corporate level interviews for a long time,
Yeah.
and Mark brings in A-list celebrities, and
Right.
so our network met that criteria of having 4 channels, operating 24/7, and we're not a competitive against I think it's NBC that
The
carries.
NBC has the rights to film.
Yeah.
The
So,
NBC is
but
the right
again,
to
it's
film.
just a 2 minute sport. It's not a 4 hour football game,
Right.
which I think is about the most people's attention spans last nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
No,
of
it
the
makes
people's
it,
attention
no, it's
spans
like
and
good.
everything like that, hey,
Yeah.
because I know we talked about doing a show about this sometime back. We never got it off the ground, but maybe we'll get it off the
Nick, you
ground
were good.
in the near future and everything like that. But we've talked about stories and having shows around real estate. And apparently Zillow has, and I'd love to hear both of you, Nick and Kim's thoughts about this, but there are a growing number of homeowners that are turning into what Zillow calls accidental landlords. So that is after failing to sell their homes, these homeowners are turning them into rentals. So a Zillow analysis found that 2.3%
Um,
Did he freeze up?
I can't
second
tell.
houses are taking longer to sell these days, giving buyers leverage. And as a result, some homeowners are opting for the rental route rather than cutting their asking price and taking a loss. Like I said, even in my own case, the house that we used to own, me and my brother, actually mom owned it and everything like that. The people that bought it duplexed it, and I think that they might even be turning it into rents every once in a while as well. But I just wanted y'all's take on this because I also see people that are doing that. Like when you rent a house for rentals, like Airbnb kind of stuff and everything like that. But I just wanted y'all's take on this in this era where it seems like more people are having a harder time selling their houses, so that instead they are turning them to rentals and now therefore becoming quote unquote accidental landlords.
I've had to do that before, Mark. So it's nothing unusual. I mean, that's the reason I own 4 homes. I mean, people go, "Why'd you own 4 homes?" It's because selling a couple of them, you're not getting your price. I mean, basically, so you rented them out. And then a couple of them I lived in. But the thing is, yeah, you run into a situation where you have a cold real estate market and you can't sell it for the price that you want, but you can rent it until the market comes back and then you sell it and you get the price you want on that. Otherwise, in some cases, you end up taking a loss. So it's just not unusual. But it is a show that I'd like to do as soon as we find some real estate person who's willing to step forward and be the host of the show, is do real estate. It's one of the biggest way to say it, industries in the world, literally, and in the United States. But if you said, hey, I'm going to go take a good real estate course in high school, forget it, they don't offer it. I'm going to take one in college, nope. And in law school, yeah, they teach you real estate law, but that has nothing to do with real estate investing. It deals with deeds, quitclaim deeds, warranty deeds. I mean, different titles. I mean, it has absolutely nothing. So the best things out there are actually some of these self-help books on real estate investing. And at one time, it was like a panacea. You couldn't lose. In other words, you invest, you win. But then sometimes you invest, no matter what you invest, you lose. It's not an easy market, and it should be taught to everybody in high school. They should have a real estate investing course, but they have none. And it's a very sad commentary. And it's nothing that will be replaced by AI anytime soon. AI will not be able to tell you the size of house you can afford or should buy. I mean,
No,
Zillow is very good. I use that for when I shop houses in the United States in real estate. I use Idealistia in Spain because Zillow doesn't exist here. And I'm using On the Market in Scotland. So I scout for properties all the time. Are there any great deals out there? No. Why not? Because of those search engines. If there's a good deal, somebody snatches it up too fast.
I've been watching an AI show, and it has kind of progressed. But the AI is, I don't know, Nick, if you probably remember this when we tried to get Spencer to be the co-host with us, and Spencer was AI. Well, this is very similar, but you never get to see the face or feature, of the AI, but you have the host, and then people ask the AI, or they ask the host to ask AI the questions. And I've been watching this. It started out, the AI's name was Quinn. They've now, I guess, built a new one, a progressed one. But they've just been, and each time it gets better. Well, last night, the host asked Vale, I think is what it's called, it's Vale. Okay, we've talked for an hour or so with all of our guests. Can you please give me a summary of everything we discussed? And a lot of it was really deep diving about the Iran war, about, just everything. Like they even went into Think and Grow Rich book. Like it was just, great stuff, but make it entertaining. Now, this is something AI doesn't normally do, right? And it did. Like it gave a cliff note of the whole show. And this is the first time I've seen it do this. And then it wrapped it up in a really entertainable way. But I also watched it kind of bend a knee to be humble a little bit. Somebody's, told the Vale or AI, hey, you're being a little presumptuous or whatever. And it kind of like apologized. And I thought that was interesting. So AI is getting to be very good. Maybe in the future it could do real estate, but I think you still need to understand to physically walk through a piece of property and know where the holes are. And AI just can't do that just yet.
Right. They just can't. What you said is really important. They can't do a walkthrough right now. No. In other words, because ultimately, no matter what you see in the metrics, sometimes you have to visit the property, and then all of a sudden you see the holes here and the stuff that's wrong, or the cheap layouts, and AI doesn't do it. So the real estate investors aren't going to be replaced anytime soon. Neither will landlords about that. Landlords, they all come from the same cloth. They know how to drive down the lowest possible denominator, those successful ones, when they buy, and they know how to jack up the rents for all the people that walk in the door. And they're skinflints when it comes to improvements. In other
Yep.
words, my problem is I don't have those traits. I'm not
Don't have those
cheap
traits and
enough.
everything like that.
That's the reason I
Speaking
got
of
rid of my
traits
real
and
estate.
everything like that,
You need to be a
I
cheap SOB,
I
and then you can be a
I
landlord.
I
And that's
had
fine.
a real estate agent tell me, don't, if you're going to sell your house, don't paint or change the carpets to make it look newer and better, because people won't like whatever colors you picked.
Yeah.
It's not their personalities. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Sell it the way it is. Clean it up. Make it look clean. Make it smell good. But make it look somewhat inviting. But
now to
don't
be
waste
fair,
your
while we're not
time doing all of that.
Now, to
So
be fair, while we don't have a real estate show, we do have an interior designing show. So we have
yes,
that
we
every
do.
Friday at 2 o'clock with the Color Whisperer, and that is Jeanette Chadsworth and everything like that. I had the pleasure this weekend of going to a couple of days, not as many days as I sometimes go because it's a 4-day festival, and in the past it might have even been a week. But I went to Full Frame, and they were talking about a new form of animation. So that was interesting, and I know Toby may know about this as well, but it's called rotoscoping because there was a film about an anthem that Lady Gaga has put out there called "I Was Born This Way," and they actually got Lady Gaga in the film, which surprised me and everything like that. But it was a guy that was a Reverend African American gentleman, Carl Bean, and he did the original song back in the disco era and everything like that. So they even had a clip of the famous destroyed disco at I think it was the Chicago Stadium and everything like that. But there was a very interesting historical film. There was also some very sad films, like one about the destruction of the glaciers in Iceland, because there was a family that was called I think Time and Water, but it was showing how the glaciers are being literally destroyed because it showed this property that was very much glacier beautiful, and then now it's barren land and everything like that. So that was a very powerful film. And then there was another one that was about the folks, I think in Nepal, which I know we've got people that come in there and everything, but they were going on a mountain trip, and there was some controversy as to whether one side of or one country was pitting against the other, and all along those lines. And 15 people went on this journey, and I think 5 of them died. They even showed some of them being buried in ice in this particular film. But yeah, rotoscoping was an interesting technique. So maybe we can do a film about the animation and filmmaking as well. So I'm talking to some people about that also. But they had a great film idea, and Kim, you would love this. The guy said that he could not get the support from the networks. I'm not surprised and everything like that, because he wanted to do, and he pitched it a series, kind of like a Ken Burns series on music, political protest music. So it would be like songs like I'm trying to think of the ones that were out there. Public Enemy, Fight the Power, definitely some of Bob Dylan's songs, and a number of songs that you can even go back to the Field Haulers for Slavery, and some of the songs that were going on in the freedom fights, not just civil rights, but also like the American Revolution and everything like that. But apparently when he pitched it to folks, they couldn't get behind it. So it's now in the scrap paper. He doesn't even know what he's going to do with it, even though it's his idea. And he was like, if somebody could take that and run with it, they probably could make all kinds of success, because there are many songs that have to do with protests and everything like that. And there are no number of protest artists. So maybe that's something that Pod TV can pick up
There's
the love.
there's a whole lot of protest new songs now.
Right.
I mean, it's just amazing to me. Jatovi being here, I heard a comment over the weekend that Trump and Hegseth was using video games to promote the war. I mean, or to talk about the war. What is the feeling of people? I mean, to me, there's no comparison. When you're killed in a war, you're killed, you're dead. There's nothing. It's not like a game where you get killed in a game and you get to come back. I mean, I don't know what is their mission.
I think he's on a meeting and everything like that, because I see, or maybe talking to his kids. But one of the films, I think it's called The Pink Fox or something like that. But one of the films that they showed was from Afghanistan and Iran, and they actually said that, like, the migrants that are escaping, a lot of times that was their code. Was they were saying that they were going gaming and everything like that. So they were using gaming almost as a code to find that somebody was coming to take them to a safe venue and everything like that. And I think this particular lady, who was also in an abusive relationship, finally got out of the abusive relationship and got to Austria, I think is where she wound up living and everything like that. But it was interesting because that was one of the parallels that they talked about in this movie. It was that whenever what I guess would be called the mules if you were going by the term that they use in Mexico and everything, was coming to rescue them, to take them off to the side, they wouldn't say that they were coming to grab them. They would say, we're going gaming. So they were using gaming as a code word to say that they're actually taking them to the other country. So they were using something very popular as a code among the people that's actually how they were getting across to the other side. So it's interesting how gaming can even play a role in that sense as well. So it's almost like a code word. So if you heard
Austria. Did you say Austria? I'll be there Wednesday.
When?
I'm heading off to Vienna for the week.
Wow. What's going on? Vacation?
I plan all this stuff in advance, and so I have non-refundable rooms and flights. So unfortunately, I try to plan all this stuff out, and so I bought hotel rooms, double hotel rooms, because I forgot I have two hotels.com, so I have two hotel rooms, and I can't get out of it. I've never done that before.
So who's going with you?
Well, my wife's going with me, but I guess we'll be
the wife, he doesn't have a dog anymore, so it's just the way.
You're going to start rumors, right?
Yeah, start rumors. Well, what it was is that they were non-refundable, and I bought one a long time ago from my hotels.com account. Then I bought another one from my other hotels.com because my first one wouldn't tell me they don't connect. So I didn't already have rooms. So it's just one of those weird things.
Yeah,
but I've never been to Vienna.
Possibly.
Vienna's got some very interesting history behind it. It was head of the Habsburg royal family for years. And of course, Mozart, Strauss was there. It's got all this stuff. And I'm going to put together a TV show for Pod TV on Vienna. Now, the problem I'm having now is I have all these pictures backlogged and I can't get them to transport over to my computer. And I just realized I just got to plug it into my computer and then I'm good to go and I'll be able to do it. In the meantime, I'm about to head over to Economics with David Walker.
Yeah, we're going to wind up and everything like that. But I do have something else that we might be able to cover
on the show.
All along those lines.
He's buying a Mercedes while he's on the show. I'm not kidding. So he'll be in a Mercedes doing. We'll see how.
I remember when he bought a car, years ago when he first started with this. I think he bought a Corvette or something.
Yeah, well, I guess he's moving up in the world. Anyway, I got.
Speaking of people moving up, and we've only got about another minute or two to go, but I do have two sports, including one that we just concluded recently, that maybe we can also carry as well because the finals took place this past Sunday and everything like that. But maybe one of the things that we can carry is Carolina women's flag football because they had their championship this past Sunday and everything like that. So maybe that's another sport that we can see about getting with and seeing all in that place because there's a growing growth of women's flag football at the youth, college, and professional levels and everything like that. So there is a Carolina championship that was just held this past weekend and everything like that. So I know everybody's excited about the Carolina Hurricanes and they're going for the Stanley Cup, but there were some people that were actually participating at the Carolina Women's Flag Football Championship, and it highlighted the rising prominence of female athletes in a sport long dominated by men. So if you ever played flag football, and maybe that's something we can see about getting for next year, since this year has already taken place. But what do you think about the idea of us carrying flag football, women's flag football?
I think it'd be cool. A lot of people play it. I don't know how dangerous it is, but I've been flag football. We used to play it as kids. I never quite understood it, but I think it'd be cool.
I think it'd be cool too. And like I said, it seems like the winner won handily, and I forgot which team won, but yeah, it looks like they had 4 or 5 teams competing, and it looks like they had a good audience and everything like that. So maybe that's another sport that we can carry in the future and all along those lines. But we're going to wrap up. I know we got Economics Monday coming up and Media Monday. I guess they're going to have that running too. I'm not sure because he never got with me on that. But I know we definitely got economics. And are we doing the 100th anniversary today or is that next week?
No, the 100th episode is today. So join us, Mark. Pop on in.
I'll definitely join you for that.
So today is the 100th episode of Timeshare Solution or Surrender. From the first day I met Irene, I tried to convince her that we needed laws changed to make things better for people so there weren't so many victims. But you don't just change the laws, you have to make them so that they can be enforced. And so that's kind of some of the things that we've been reading, but we went to DC for over a week of visiting senators and congressmen because somebody has submitted a bill that will help the victims if we can get it pushed. So yeah, 100th episode, and here we are almost 2 years later, and we've got a lot to celebrate.
Good. Well, I'll pop in on that and check that out as well.
All right.